Welcome, everybody. It's Eagles Game Plan presented by Toyota. I'm Eagles insider Dave Spadaro with the Hall of Famer Mike Quick. Mike, how are you?
Fine.
Good to see you. And yeah, we got something to talk about here today. And the legend, Ike Reese. Ike, how are you?
Spuds, great to see you, brother.
Great to see you.
Ike's a legend.
Sure, no doubt about it. You both are. You're both legends. And we got something to talk about here. The Eagles control their playoff destiny thanks to last week's win over the New York Giants. And today, it's the Washington football team for the second time in 2 weeks. Now, before we talk about that game, guys, we got to talk about the Giants at Lincoln Financial Field, a beautiful Sunday. It wasn't always pretty, guys, but the Eagles got it done. Mike, what do you take away from the win?
So I was just impressed with the way they were able to come out in the second half after doing very little in the first half, only scoring 3 points. But they came out in the second half and they played the type of game that I expected. Rodney McLeod got that interception to get them going, and they just went downhill from there, just taking it to that football team, and that team couldn't do anything about it.
And it was one of those total team efforts, right? Offense, defense, and special teams. Mike just talked about Rodney McLeod, his contribution coming out in the second half with that big interception. But also notice that Jalen Reagor is starting to be a little bit more of a factor in these games. Not just on the offense, great catch he made on that sideline, great throw from Jalen Hurts as well, but in the punt return game, right? And so you get late in the year, special teams can change the field, right? And so Jalen Reagor's big punt return helps set up another opportunity for the Eagles to put points on the board. When you get all three phases clicking, it makes this team that much more dangerous.
Ike, why am I not surprised you bring up special teams? You're the ace of special teams.
Important part of the game.
Absolutely. Another important part of the game, the Eagles' defense, and that is the subject of this week's tape study. Eagles game plan producer Fran Duffy stood up with defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon to go over some of the game-changing plays from the win over the Giants.
.10:29 remaining in regulation. Back again goes Gannon, and the pass is intercepted. Running down the sideline, Alex Singleton, and he is in for a second NFL touchdown.
Well, joining us once again here on Eagles Game Plan for some tape study, Eagles defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon. Coach, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Let's get to it.
All right, so it's always a great day when the defense can reach the end zone and put some points up on the board. So I wanted to start with this pick six here from linebacker Alex Singleton. Take us through what happened on this play and what made it all work.
Yeah, so, you see, we talk about an empty. The first thing I want to talk about is our players doing a good job within the game talking about what was going on, what their empty plan was. And what I'm talking about that is what routes are we getting out of empty, and in what coverages could we be in, and who's responsible to make certain plays for what. So the first thing is that, just the players talking about this, because this is later in the game, obviously in the second half. So you see Rodney drops down there. We're playing a form of cover, post-close defense. And what you see is he thought he was getting a vertical here, so that's why he's sitting kind of high. You see Tony kind of snap this thing off, and it's just, Rodney on the backside knows that he's getting a couple routes, so he's playing for the vertical, but he's anticipating the break. And that's why you see such a hard trigger by him, and him lay out and know that he's got a chance to make a play on the ball there and not a tackle, and gets his hand in there. And then Alex is just in the right spot where he's supposed to be with that coverage. We talk about all the time, tips and overthrows. If you're running to the ball, if you're near the ball, if you have population to the ball, that's how, takeaways happen. So, this one happened to get right to Alex's lap, and he knows what to do with it. Slay, I think, has taught everyone when we do take the ball away that we should look to score. So we have very distinct language with how we try to block interception returns and fumble recoveries. And you see what I like about the D-line getting going already. They're looking to get blocks there, but not too much needed off of this one just because it hit him in stride here and he takes it to the house.
So we just saw the interception by Alex Singleton. Now let's take a look at a third down stop in the run game. This is first half, early on in this game, 3rd and 4. Alex, a big part of this stop, but a lot of guys chipping in to keep the Giants from getting a first down.
Yeah, this is good. So this is kind of 4-down territory, so we got to be run and pass ready right here. And, you see Cam at end, really lock his block and really crush down this C-gap, so he wins his one-on-one. Fletch gets a double, Alex pulls off the double quick with the puller, so the communication from TJ to Alex is pull. So Alex jumps over the top, pulls the double off of Fletch, so Fletch wins his double team and then gets back inside. You see Ridge on the backside shutting the back door. Anthony's triggering. He knows he's outside of the pull. You get crack replays from Slay. And, you know, to get this rundown for a yard, all the 7 or 8 guys in that picture, they have to be winning and doing their job the right way. And that's what you see, and that's why the third down stop happened, is because everybody that's in that picture right there that you're circling, Fran, that's perfect, is doing the correct thing with their alignment, assignment, key technique, and they're winning their one-on-one battle. So that's what it takes to play good team defense, especially these shorter down and distances on third down. But that was a huge stop in the game, and, you know, it didn't go for 3 where it's 4th and 1 and they maybe go for it there at that point in the game. It went for, I think, a yard or maybe 0, and it forces a punt. So just good team defense, really good situational awareness of our guys, good prep from the coaches for that, because they understand what's going on this certain down and distance, and just good execution at call. That's all about the players, that one.
All right, so let's take us through one more run play, Coach, and this is going to be a stop here from Milton Williams, rookie defensive tackle, 3rd-round pick, shown up in a number of ways really over the last couple of months here, Coach, but take us through this run stop here from Milton.
Yeah, so I think this one's a draw on 2nd down, so, you know, he's thinking pass first here, but just does a good job of playing what he sees. So, you know, he just gets a base block with a draw set, and he's a tad high right there because he's getting ready to rush, and just understands that he is getting a base block right there, a draw set, and he ends up fighting back to in his gap. So we call that primary, secondary gap. So he thinks the ball is going to kick outside of him, which is not his gap. He's going to rip off and finish on it. So we get a hat and a half on the ball. Then the ball ends up committing back into his gap and then going to slide out the front door, and he rips off right there. So just extreme violence on contact right there from Milt. He's a very powerful man, and rips off and makes a play where they're really not accounting for him to make that play. So they're thinking that they can stalemate that one and get the ball on the second level. And when you have defensive linemen winning one-on-one blocks because they're doubling the other 3 technique right there, you know, it just makes it hard for an offense. So I think the conversion of Milt on that play and just having a can't be denied attitude to finish on the ball what makes that play pretty special from him.
Eagles Game Plan is brought to you by your local Tri-State Toyota dealers, proud automotive partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. NovaCare Rehabilitation, the power of physical therapy. And by Pepsi, your official soft drink of your Philadelphia Eagles.
What's the name of the play called, Elaine?
East Texas.
Lane Johnson is actually eligible on this play.
Oh, Lane about to get a pass. Lane.
Boy, I'd love to see them throw to Lane Johnson. Hurts, fires, touchdown, Lane Johnson!
I love it.
Happy he got him one.
To the end zone, touchdown, Lane Johnson. I'm not going to swear, but it was awesome.
He said, when I caught that ball, I didn't know what to think. All I could think was what y'all know about them Texas boys.
East Texas on 3. 1, 2, 3. East Texas.
The Lincoln Leap for Lane Johnson, and that was good to see. Pro Bowl snub. Guys, we agree Lane deserved to go to the Pro Bowl. Yep. First Eagles touchdown by an offensive lineman since the 2010 season. Let's transition over, guys, to the defensive line. Again, a dominating performance. Ike, what'd you see?
Yeah, and they're doing it different ways, Dave and Mike. You watch this defense over the last month or so, and they're managing to get pressure in a variety of ways. They can bring it through a 5-man pressure. They can bring it through blitzes with the back end. They can also bring it by disguising looks and using line stunts up front. Now, the Eagles aren't one of the teams in the league that uses a ton of line stunts, but in this game last week versus the Giants, it was prominent. And here's a play where you saw early in the game that this was going to be an effective scheme for this Eagles defense. You watch how they're lined up here in the box, and I got my linebackers in the inside, TJ Edwards, and I got Jannard Avery. You notice the back offset to the right here. He wants to give help to his offensive tackle by chipping on Josh Sweat. All right, so we get the snap of the ball here. Great TT stunt by Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave on the inside, but the little twist to this, pun intended, is Jannard Avery coming with the linebacker loop. So what this does is it forces the running back who's watching on the inside to want to help inside versus helping his tackle who's expecting help on his inside. He's set short. It allows Josh Sweat to get to the outside edge of him, get the hump. He gets to the quarterback, affects Jake Fromm's throwing arm here. Ball is incomplete. We know we have two of the best tackles in the league. The object is to get these other guys going. And here's an example where Josh Sweat took advantage of his one-on-one situation and got to the quarterback.
We know that a lot of attention has been given to the Eagles' offense because of their running game and the historic 7-game stretch that they had. But what's been lost a little bit, or overlooked, I should say, has been the play of the Eagles' defense. Think about this. In the last 8 games, they've only allowed one team to rush for 100 yards. So the Eagles are shutting down the run. This defense is playing really, really well, and it starts with the defensive front. And by the way, that showed up 2 weeks ago against Washington, and it really showed up at the end with a 10-point lead, where you saw back-to-back plays, and the first one was by rookie Milton Williams. This play is very representative of what he's shown as an inside pass rusher, the quickness off the ball. He forced the quarterback out of the pocket into a hurried throw for a 2-yard loss. That's one thing Williams does really well. The very next play literally ended the game. It was Fletcher Cox playing at a really high level and another player being overlooked a bit. Cox has been very good over the last month, 6 weeks, really for the whole season. And here he beats the right guard and sacks the quarterback, causing a fumble. In this rematch against Washington, I think that the Eagles' defensive front will be absolutely a critical component. They are playing at a very, very high level. They don't give up rushing yards, and we know Washington wants to run the ball. In fact, Washington has to run the ball in order to be an effective offense. But that's an area that the Eagles shut down really well, and they've done that over the last 8 games. So look for the Eagles' defense in this rematch with the Washington offense.
Exonerated you on the pass in which Dallas got open on the busted coverage. How did you see it?
Well, put the play in, and we were expecting 7 bracket. So basically 29, the safety, McKinney from Alabama, he's bracketing Rager, and they're playing kind of in and out, right? But they're in quarters, cover 7. So got to find a single, but in their play, what I was coached to do, just go through it as a pure progression, work the shallow to the running back coming, only throw that versus a certain look. My shallow popped, and then McKinney fell off and drove on the shallow after I threw the ball. So McKinney made a really good play, and they busted the coverage backside, so he was wide open over there. So my pre-snap look did not give me what I wanted to throw the corner to Dallas, but definitely looking after the fact. It's easy to say throw him the ball, but yeah, you're gonna miss something like that, you know? And as a quarterback, you wanna play on schedule and get the ball out on time and try your best to do that. And just trust your preparation and your reads and your progressions. And you're gonna have guys that pop, but you gotta try and stay on schedule and do those things, and you know, those happen.
So a really thoughtful answer there, guys, from quarterback Jalen Hurts on the way a quarterback goes through his progressions. Mike, what do you take away from that answer?
Well, I just like that he was so honest and a lot of detail. Even guys that played the game, Ike, many times we don't know where the ball should go.
Right.
And you'll see a guy break open late and you think, oh, he should have gotten the ball. Well, he's going through his progression. I love the way he explained it, and I love the way he just kept it simple, but giving you the details on exactly what should have happened, and he's going where he should have gone with the football. He didn't expect the coverage to be blown on the back end, but if you look at Logan Ryan, he's that 2 deep safety on that side. He should have had the wide play, and because it's 2 deep, you want to work the middle where he worked the football.
Let's stick with the passing game, one of the main targets for the Philadelphia Eagles. Here in 2021, tight end Dallas Goedert, who the first time around against Washington, 7 catches, 135 yards, a big game from him. Let's take a look at more of him with Greg Cosell and some self-scouting.
As we look to the Week 17 rematch against Washington, a team the Eagles just played a couple of weeks ago, I think it's really important to talk about one player that has really stood out this season, and particular over the last month or so, and that's tight end Dallas Goedert. The talent level with Goedert is high. He certainly has the kind of traits and skill set that would make him a top 5 tight end in this league with continued development. He has become a weapon at the short, intermediate, and vertical areas of the field. And let's go back to that Washington game a few weeks ago. And there's 2 plays that I think really reflect Goedert's ability and the way that the Eagles use him. And I want to start with a 45-yard reception on the fourth possession of the Eagles offense. And on this play, the Eagles had 3 tight ends on the field. It was 13 personnel. And this play was designed for Goddard. It was going to be a post-wheel combination to the boundary, with Tyree Jackson running the post and Goddard running the wheel. As I said, the play was designed for Goddard, and you can see the vertical ability, the ability to stretch out and eat up ground that's normally associated with wide receivers. Now, this was a play where the Washington safety Reeves came off Jackson, actually played it well, and was in pretty good position to make a play. But this is where Goddard really stood out on this play. He made the contested catch on a ball that was just slightly underthrown. Those are the kinds of plays you normally see wide receivers make, and Goddard made that play down the field for a 45-yard gain. But the more important point here was the usage by the Eagles. They're asking Goddard to run vertical routes, and that's really important because he has that kind of ability. Let's look at a second play from that Washington game a couple of weeks ago. This was 2nd and 6 on a second quarter touchdown drive. Now, in the Washington game, the Eagles played out of base personnel quite a bit. And here they have 12 personnel, 2 tight ends on the field. And they're in a 3-by-1 bunch set. What you have here is Goddard. He's the point man in the bunch. Now, he's going to run a crossing route against Reeves. And you can see Goddard's ability at the top of his stem, the ability to separate, and just as important, the ability to get up to speed quickly so that he can run away from man coverage. So in this matchup with Washington coming up, Washington is a team that does play high percentage zone coverage. And Dallas Goedert, who's coming on as one of the best tight ends in the NFL, will be an important factor for the Eagles offense.
So we agree Dallas Goedert is an important factor in this Eagles passing game, and so is rookie wide receiver Devontae Smith. Another spectacular game against the New York Giants. Mike, what are you seeing from number 6?
I think he's just showing us each and every week that he's an elite player. He does so many things well, and he's such a detailed player, and that's what I like about him. He spends a lot of time working on his craft because he wants to be elite. And if you watch this play, it's just a one-on-one situation on the outside, and he's working against James Bradbury. He gets on top of him, but the ball is slightly underthrown, and you watch him track the football. An average receiver, he'll wait for the ball to come down and he'll catch it, but you watch how he goes up and he attacks the football at the catch point. The little subtleties like that, guys, that's what's going to make him an elite player because he works on that each and every day.
Welcome back to Eagles Game Plan presented by Toyota. Well, guys, the Eagles have their playoff fate in their hands. They know they are playing a Washington team that got walloped on Sunday night. Ike, do you feel concerned that maybe you overlooked this team?
Yeah, that's one of the things that I would be focused on if I'm the coaches and if I'm the veteran players on this team is that you can't pay attention to what Dallas did to Washington Sunday night by putting 56 on them. It's very easy to overlook a team when you know they just lost a game in that manner. Well, for me, they become the more dangerous team. They were embarrassed on national TV. They lost to the Eagles less than 2 weeks ago. This is a game where if you allow them to hang around, you could be in for a serious fight for 60 minutes. And so if you're the Eagles, you have to have the mentality of this is a team that's fighting for the same thing you're fighting for, and you got to go in there and take care of business.
And you know, Mike, the Eagles have been scraping and clawing, 2-5 record, now 8-7. Now you got to find out how you handle prosperity away from home.
Well, when you talk about the prosperity, it's come because they've played great defense, they've run the football. These two things travel. They have to travel down to Washington. You can play great defense on the road, you can run the football on the road. And I think that's the formula for winning this football game. It's going to be big.
Yeah, and guess what? It's a road game, but you know what else travels? Eagles fans. And we know a lot of you are down there at FedEx Field ready for this big game. We hope you enjoy the game. Make sure you tune in to the Eagles kickoff show on PhiladelphiaEagles.com starting at 12:10 p.m. That'll do it for us. It's the Eagles Game Plan Show presented by Toyota. Thanks for joining, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Eagles Game Plan is brought to you by your local Tri-State Toyota dealers, proud automotive partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. NovaCare Rehabilitation, the power of physical therapy. And by Pepsi, your official soft drink of your Philadelphia Eagles.